Welcome to our program. It's a pleasure for us being with you, and with us is Garnet Smalley. Welcome to our program.
Thank you very much.
Okay, as you can see behind us, and later you're going to see a lot of more of this amazing exhibition that is happening here at the Hilton. Garnet brought all of this, but we're going to ask him, let him tell us about this.
What we did is we each year we try and bring a different country. And when we ask the country to come and bring their quilts, we ask them to be reflective of the culture and spirit of the country from which they come. So each quilt is individually done with an individual artist's stamp on their country. And so people usually view quilts as something my grandmother did. So it would be something you and think of that. These are wonderful works of art. You have been around and looked a little bit, can say these are spectacular works of art and they really reflect the culture. So we're very fortunate to have a couple hundred pieces from different countries like Zimbabwe, Kenya, Egypt, Gabon, South Africa. We have a 50-piece fiber arts, and we have Namibia and Tanzania.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Is all the pieces we have here are from Africa?
All of them, every single one.
Why Africa?
Well, I love Africa. I happen to be able to have gone there in 2007. What I look for is I look for a country that perhaps people aren't going to know as much about. Yeah. So even if you tomorrow decided you were going to go to Africa, you're probably not going to be able to see quilts. So there wouldn't have to be a quilt show on. So my thought was, wouldn't it be interesting to bring the quilts in so that people can see and learn about the different countries? And as I say, like when I was telling you about Rose and that, to have the African Federation of London and area come and be a part of this just brings the cultural aspect into it. They've been a great help. So it's just so important to bring culture into the city.
Yeah, and okay, I'm going to continue with the questions. So why quilts?
My wife owns a quilt shop. So we started this with quilts, and what happened was when I first started this in 2007, we had quilts come from Russia. And seeing the quilts from Russia, when they showed me the pictures that came over the internet, I wondered, what do the symbols mean? So I wondered, wouldn't it be interesting if they would come to Canada? So I thought I invited them, and they came, and they brought 154 quilts, and the rest, as they say, is history.
It's amazing. And also, as you say, we have to name here the ACFOLA organization, which has been very helpful here.
You meet people, and you meet people, and they've just been wonderful. They put in a lot of time and effort. They've been so supportive. So when the people come here and they see the around there, and Rose is out front too. I say Rose, and I only say Rose because everybody's been helpful. Rose has been here from the very start, just a marvelous human being and very encouraging. And it means so much when you organize something to have that kind of support and saying, oh, this is wonderful what you've done and included us and everything like that. It's just, you can't put a price tag on it.
Absolutely, and let me congratulate you because other than the exhibition we have here, that philosophy of having all the cultures together, expressing themselves by themselves, is something very, very, very important, very nice. And as we know, ACFOLA, which is we have Claire behind cameras right now looking at us, and they're doing a very, very good work with the African community. And we're going to have them later on the show. But before that, I would like you to tell us a little bit more about that expressions that all the quilts are bringing to us.
Why don't I bring in somebody from Africa that come on? Let's use because I always find it difficult when I talk about a country and then the person from the country standing there because they're much more knowledgeable. I can only speak about what I've learned. So I would be a good example. When I started this with Africa, I had no idea. I mean, I knew Africa was a continent. I knew there was nice countries, but I didn't really have so I didn't know. I'm going to use Zimbabwe as an example. Zimbabwe has an inflation rate of 1,372%. I mean, in that kind of perspective, you really don't learn about the country. To be able to get quilts for that country really means quite a bit. So this, for example, was made and it's called When Elephants Fight, It's the Grass That Suffers. Now, initially when I went around, because I went to 34 different communities across the country, I've been to Michigan, Quebec, talking about this exhibit, talking to people. So when they look at this, they smile and say, oh yes, when elephants fight, it's the grass that suffers. Yeah. But when you look in the writing in here and it says disease, violence, and poverty, it's because the expression in Africa is when elephants fight, and let's talk about the powers that be, it's always the regular guy that suffers. I mean, in Syria, for example, they're not going without food at the top. You know, their houses aren't being destroyed. Their whole way of life is not being destroyed. So they're fighting, and it's a regular guy in the street that suffers. And that's why that expression.
Very interesting.
It is interesting.
Very, very interesting.
It is. It's just. I mean, I could take you around to all these quilts and show something, especially like the Temex of Cairo, which we talked about earlier. We have beautiful work that depicted the Maasai. We have the Serengeti on display. We have the Way of Women, which is rural ladies in Zimbabwe. The Way of Women and their stitchery done by them. It's just all hand stitched. So they're just. It's just a way of learning about the people. I mean, it's quite interesting for me who organizes, and I walk around and learn something new every time.
So yeah, you can see it's not only the exhibition, which is very, very amazing. This guy is excellent. He's an amazing guy with all his philosophy, and congratulations. Really, this is a very, very important.
The City of London has put a lot of emphasis on cultural prosperity this year. And so I'm hoping that the city will maybe look at this. I think they took a wait-and-see attitude with, would it work or not work? And so with all the emphasis that's been put on, this is a type of cultural event that is important not only for the city, but for the people outside the city. I have had people come from Michigan. I have a lady that's from Sudbury, Hudson, Quebec, Kuwait.
Yeah, that's true. That we don't just the expression of the cultures is not only dancing or food or this is it talks by itself. So yeah, I would like to encourage you to assist to all this type of exhibition because it really matters to all of us.
Because one time it could be your country, right? Yeah. And that's the thing. Like we've had Russia, we've had Ireland, we've had Quilts of G's Bend, we've had Hawaii, and we've had out of Africa. And next year.
Could be my country.
It could be Eddie. It could be.
Okay, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It's really been a pleasure having you in our program and being able to put together this show for the exhibition.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.